Oh, okay. So we will just go through the sadhana, and as I said at the end, if you do have questions, then of course you can ask. Sometimes people also ask when we look at the pictures, sometimes Tara has 2 flowers, sometimes she only has 1. It has to do a bit with whether it's Chittamani Tara, which is highest Yoga Tantra, whether it's Kriya Tantra. So this one is Chittamani Tara, she has 2 flowers. In general, when one does like the simple Tara practices we do now, she has only 1 flower. So that means, you know, the flower that she is holding here with the gesture of giving protection means the thumb and the ring finger are holding the stem of this flower here in her hand. And then when she doesn't have another flower in her right hand, then the hand is just open in the gesture of generosity. So, but again, you know, if you can visualize very clearly, then that's fine. If you cannot, then main thing is that you have this kind of trust, you know, the same way we trust the Four Noble Truths, and that we can see, because this we can check more or less whether this is true or not. We can see that suffering comes from wrong views and unhelpful emotions. So then, we can just trust, oh, by doing this, don't expect any miracles, okay? But at least, you know, to have this trust the same way as we take a medicine that is very slow working. Then you think, okay, I'm doing this. Why? Because I want to become a Buddha. So here's some short commentary. You can then read if you want by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. She protects from these 8 fears, which is ignorance, which is like the danger of the elephant. Yeah, like ignorance who kind of tramples everything. Hatred, who is like danger of fire. Fire very quickly destroys something we have built up for a long time. Attachment is the danger of water, which just carries us away. You know, the Tibetans have this expression which is called Shempa. Shempa is this energy that when you know that you shouldn't do something, you know, you're actually almost aware of what you're about to do, and you know that you are not, you know, that it's not going to be right or it's not going to be good, but still, Shempa is the one that pushes you, or kind of, you know, draws you towards, or more pushing. It's like this pushing energy to say or do something that if you would be in a normal state of mind or in a relaxed state of mind, you wouldn't say or do these things. So it's like attachment is like this, you know, especially when we're addicted to something. Then pride is like the danger of a lion, the lion who just, you know, wow, look at me, I'm so wonderful. Then jealousy is the danger of a snake who sits in its dark pit, you know, not being able to bear the happiness of others and injecting its poison wherever it can inject it when it sees that other people are happy. Then wrong views, the danger of the thief, that we are producing a lot of positive karma, but then if we don't know about emptiness, then it's like, oh, the merit is kind of going down the drain, more or less. Then the doubt is the danger of spirits, and doubt, we all know, doubt in our spiritual practice, it just sneaks in from behind, you know, especially when we do these kinds of practices. We're sitting there quite happy, and all of a sudden the mind comes and says like, oh, how do you know that this is going to work? How do you know that this is a good thing? You know, and we start doubting the teacher, the practice, ourselves, and the Buddha and everything. So it creeps in from time to time, like a spirit or like a phantom, like a ghost. But I used to be afraid of my doubts, but it's good to clear them up, because doubt is something that then you're forced to work with it. You know, you can't just sit with doubt and it will clear up. There you really take your intellect. And for example, with these kind of practices, if very strong doubt or aversion is coming up, then you can ask yourself, well, what else would I do? You know, and how is it going to harm me? Why don't I just try it out and see? Because as I said, you know, Buddhism is an experiential vehicle. It's not a devotion or prayer or kind of thing. It's really, we have to make the experience. Then miserliness is the danger of change, like we want to give, but we can't. Although we could, but somehow there's this fear of giving too much. I mean, this is terrible, especially with us Westerners. We always have the fear of giving too much. We never have the fear of giving too little. And then the joy of giving is really missing. Okay, so because I said it's good to start with, it's good to have at least an intellectual understanding of renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness. And so this is why we do this glance meditation on the graduated path, which is Lamrim, which Yakila is, or Karzam, Venerable Karzam is teaching you every Friday. And I will be doing something short, Lamrim kind of teachings also the next, for 3 Saturdays, not in a row, to give you an overview. And this is just also an overview over the whole path. So we know there are these steps that we have to take, so we can recite this together. Possibly, kind of infusing your mind with it. I take refuge in the Holy Guru, the essence of all Buddhas, the original grantor of all holy teachings and Lord of all supreme beings. Please, O Guru Buddhas, enable me to unify my mind with the Dharma and to succeed in practicing Dharma for receiving the graduated path. May nothing prevent my receiving this path. Please bless me to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha with all my heart, and to practice virtue and abandon non-virtue by realizing that I've received a perfect human rebirth, which is highly meaningful for many reasons, difficult to obtain but perishable, transient and fragile, decaying in the shortest second because of its changeable nature. Thus my death is definite, but its actual time is most indefinite. Karma is most profound. Even in 1 hour, I create more negative karma, bringing rebirth in the lower suffering realms than positive. Even the smallest negative action has so many suffering results. And the ability of karma created to bring its results is never lost, even after more eons than the ordinary mind can imagine, unless we consciously purify it, what we do right now. And the suffering of the 3 lower realms are very unimaginably unbearable. So it's really good to just think very shortly. We don't take it into consideration that we will be reborn next life in a lower state, isn't it? If you do, perfect. Not out of fear, but out of compassion, you want to be reborn there. Understanding, I don't want to go through that suffering. I won't be able to bear it. By seeing that even now as a human being, small sufferings that are nothing compared to the sufferings in these lower states. We can't bear, we can't practice. So to really make sure to understand the law of cause and effect, to understand every thought, every action, gives a potential on the mind. And every second I have the possibility to create either nirvana or samsara, if I'm conscious, aware. To take that choice, to be aware of it, and to guard the mind. Then the middle scope, even if we are reborn as humans, still there's a lot of suffering that we wouldn't choose if we would have a choice. By practicing in this way, I might be reborn in the upper realms, but I will still have to experience unlimited samsaric suffering because of uncontrolled delusion and karma. Please bestow on me the ability to realize fully the evolution of samsara from uncontrolled rebirth to death and rebirth, so that I shall follow night and day the threefold training of the path: supreme conduct, supreme concentration, and supreme wisdom. So in a way, this has nothing to do with religion. When people say, oh no, I don't do these kind of things, it's too religious, but just common sense. Supreme conduct, meaning not harming anybody. Supreme concentration, having a mind that is able to stay on its object happily in a relaxed way. And supreme wisdom, training the mind to see the things as they are. So this is the main method to release me from samsara. So we need to have this first also. I want to get out of samsara. Because getting everybody else out of samsara, but I will stay, that's not a Buddhist attitude. Then we come to the highest scope, which is bodhicitta. But as each, like the mind wanting to attain full awakening, but as each sentient being has been my mother, and as all are in extreme suffering, please grant me blessings to bring success to all by renouncing the perfect self-happiness of nirvana and practicing the bodhisattva's deeds with bodhicitta, exchanging myself with others on the basis of the equanimity meditation. Thus, I shall have no sorrow in experiencing the samsaric sufferings of all other sentient beings for no matter how long, having trained my mind in the general path. So because of compassion and because of bodhicitta, now, we can do some kind of dedication or motivation, we think, because then it's good to do this not just for ourselves. And we don't have an official dedication list, but you can say for whom, or not say, or think for whom you want to do this practice. I will start because I really want to do this practice for Carol. She has to undergo a very, very big heart operation tomorrow. And so may the operation go well. May she be free of fear because she's very afraid of it. And may her family also be calm. Her mother, her 90-year-old mother, and her sister, Sophie. So I would especially want to dedicate it for this. If you would like to say, you can just briefly open the microphone. Because then we have more energy to then do the next step by wanting to practice Tantra when we see the purpose of it. Okay, so please grant me blessings to be able to follow the quick Vajrayana teachings by feeling sentient beings' sufferings, very unimaginably unbearable for even the shortest second as my own, and to attain the enlightened state of Arya Tara immediately at this very moment, by keeping my ordinations and the orders of the Guru with greater and better care than anything else in my life, for the sole purpose of enlightening all sentient beings. When we do these kind of dedications just for, for a few people or for one person, then the heart is fully there. And also we see how there's not much we can do. So that's why I really have to become fully enlightened. And then once we have felt that energy, then we open up the heart and say, but not just for this person. But we need to be in contact with the energy of compassion, wanting to free beings from suffering. Or even if we could, taking it upon ourselves so that they can be free. We need to feel that. And then we can expand it. If we try to expand something that we don't feel, then it just becomes words. And knowing about emptiness and knowing that, suffering has causes, then it will be compassion, because then we don't despair. So when we see that the person is creating again and again and again more causes for suffering, we just stay there. We don't despair. We know that that person also has Buddha nature. At one point, they will realize it. Who knows when? But that Buddha nature, same as with us, is always calling. It's always nudging us. Hey, come on, you can be in a better state. And then we just very often look in the wrong place. But he keeps calling us. We can never lose it. That Buddha nature, no matter how obscured, we will never, ever lose it. So we don't need to despair. So now we take the help of Tara. We use her as a basis, like as an inspiration. That's how we want to become. So you can stop reciting if you want to read, that's fine, but otherwise you can just visualize. You can try to visualize. If no image comes, don't force, no problem. Maybe look at the Tara picture if you have one, close your eyes and try to, from memory, how does she look? Main thing is that we have the confidence that she's really there. Why? Because the Buddhas are always there. It's just that we forget. We're never alone. We're constantly surrounded by ordinary sentient beings, which is divided through them by emotions, but also through walls and visual kind of obstacles, obstructions. But the Buddhas, they're always here. We just have to remember, we just have to put on the radio of devotion and trust. So if you can, you visualize Queen Tara in the space in front of you. She has a radiant green light body, so beautiful. Like there's nothing solid about it, like a rainbow, but very distinct. Sitting on a multicolored lotus, her left foot drawn in, like when sitting in meditation. Her right foot out is resting on a little multicolored lotus. That's the sign she is already ready to get up to come and help us. Such is the strength of her compassion. She doesn't even sit comfortable in full lotus. She's half up already. Then, if you go to her face, it's not described here, but her face is very beautiful, looking at us with these very long and narrow, compassionate eyes. She's also very light. She's not sitting straight like the Buddha. She has her head a little bit tilted, like they call it the dancing posture. She's very female. She's very coquette. She's very light. She doesn't have that heavy male energy. And she wears jewel crown, earrings, necklaces, anklets, bracelets, dressed in kind of heavenly silks. Her left hand is at her heart, like palm is towards outside, fingers pointing up. The thumb and the ring finger hold the stem of a blue upala flower. It's a bit like peonies. Her right hand is at her right knee, which the right leg is extended, fingers pointing downwards, and the hand is open in the gesture of just giving, or sometimes also you can see it's different ways. You can see thumb and index finger are touching. But it's especially the gesture of giving. So the gesture, the left hand is giving fearlessness, protecting us. The gesture, the right hand is giving us realizations. Main thing is like, she's transparent, like hologram. You could go through her with your hand. There's a white Om at her crown, a red Ah in her throat, a blue Hung in her heart. Signs of a Buddha, like having body, speech, mind of a Buddha. And in her heart, there's a moon disk. On top of this is the green silver thumb, and around the mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Mantra meaning she is liberating us from the lower states, closing the doors to the lower states. She's also liberating us from being attached to samsara, like the upper states. And she liberates us from being attached to nirvana, going into kind of personal peace. And she helps us realize all projects that we have. She's the swift, the quick liberator. Manifestation of a Buddha's activity. As flexible and as quick as the wind. She's young, radiant, full of energy, full of bliss. She wears colored silken garments and jewelry on her ears, ankles, arms, and neck. So even if there's no clear picture, just, since everything is imagination anyway, just think, how is it to be in the presence of a being like this, who sees everything, doesn't judge anything, her sole wish is to help me and all other sentient beings to realize emptiness so that we can stop being reborn under the control of unhelpful emotions like wrong views, attachment, and anger. Her sole purpose of existing is for that. She accepts me exactly the way I am. So you can talk to her. You know, don't treat her like some kind of strange thing. If you want to tell her your sorrows, your fears, your problems, your failures and your successes, it's fine. Or especially the tendencies that you feel that you don't want to have them, but they kind of prevent you from being able to live your values. You can say, please protect me, especially from those. Then we feel the fear of not wanting to give them up, these habits. Thinking that we'll be bereft of happiness. Not trusting that feeling. But really being fed up. Thinking, and you will see if you continue to do like this, slowly, slowly, you lose the joy in doing these things. And you find a much deeper, much more spacious, much more open happiness and well-being. Contentment, peace. Now, very important in tantric practice. Now you think about your guru, the way you remember or you know him or her. Of course, you know, some people have many gurus, but think about the one who touches you the most. The one you just hear the name, your heart opens. I'm usually saying he because all my gurus are male, but it can also be female. And we feel the joy, the devotion, the respect. Isn't that wonderful? This person is taking care of me until I reach full awakening. And we feel protected, guided. You know, they can't give us enlightenment, but they can guide us there. So imagine that she's the manifestation of your Lama. It is his or her mind manifesting in this aspect of Queen Tara for your benefit. Why? Because then after Tara will absorb into us, and then we arise in the form of Tara. So we need the living guru in his human form to give us instruction. We need the yidams, like these deities, as a basis so that we can visualize ourselves as a deity to kind of dissolve that concrete view that we have of ourselves. And we need the Dharma protectors also to protect us on this path. Okay, so then with if possible, trust that this is really going to work. We don't know when, but you know that it's a bit like the vaccine, you know. We don't know how this vaccine works in our body. We don't know whether it's going to protect us or not. But once you have the vaccine, to have this trust, definitely better than not to have it. And then it can work, and then it can protect us. But still, you know, washing your hands and not being too careless. So also, Tara cannot protect us if we keep, producing negative karma all the time. So with this kind of trust, we take refuge. And also with the being fed up to be reborn again and again and again under the influence of our unhelpful emotions. That's it, I've had enough. So when these two aspects in the mind are present, then refuge becomes very powerful. We do twice in English, once in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chödan soki chonam la chanchu bardu dani kyapso chi dagi chinsaki personam gi chola penchi sangye jupasho. Then we totally open up our heart. It's not just a person that we do this practice for, it's all sentient beings. At least intellectually we can think, I don't have to choose. You know, in a way, Bodhichitta is so simple. I don't have to make choices between I like those, but I dislike the others. It's wonderful. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Just a wish for them to be happy and also taking responsibility by thinking, I want to be able to contribute to that. I want to have the skills, the compassion, the wisdom. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's the purpose of my life. To free them from suffering and causes of suffering. That's why I want to become a Buddha. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. To lead them to full awakening. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from desire for friends and hatred for enemies, which we all have. So we ask Mother Tara, who is in space in front of us, you know, please, Guru Deity, inspire me to be able to do so. Then 7-link practice in order to purify negative karma, to create a lot of merit. Again, you can visualize Tara. If you want, you can visualize the 21 Taras around her, which are just, again, just a manifestation of her mind. So knowing that the green Tara herself, she encompasses all the Buddhas and, of course, then all the 21 Taras. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. Then we offer a perfect universe, however this universe might look for you. It doesn't have to be Mount Meru and the 4 continents. As His Holiness says, you know, Mount Meru is not for 21st century Buddhists, but you can still visualize it. But I really like to, you know, visualize a perfect universe where nobody suffers. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Then we give away, without fear and without any sense of loss, everything that prevents us from being able to manifest the pure land. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, my body, wills, and enjoyments, without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept it with pleasure and bless me with freedom from the 3 poisons. Nidam Guru Ranna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Okay, so now is the purification. So if you want to stretch a little bit or get up so that you can really sit still while you do the purification, you're very welcome to do that. And then again, you can just either, like this, you can just either, you know, just visualize, which is quite powerful. When whatever image comes, or you can just read it with me. Whatever feels more comfortable for you. I usually, when somebody else is leading it, I prefer just to visualize, but some other people prefer to read. So you do whatever feels comfortable and feels as working the best for you. So you think, Tara sends powerful, blissful white light from the Om at her brow chakra, which enters your brow chakra completely, fills you. You imagine that all your problems and sufferings and heaviness and grossness of your body are purified by this light, and all the harm you have ever done to any living being with this body and all your infinite past bodies is also purified, eradicated completely. Not one atom left. So maybe it's good to know, not need, but it's sometimes good to know. So the white light represents Vairocana of the 5 Buddha families. He transforms our impure aggregative form into his form of Vairocana, is white in color. He purifies, of course, actions we've done with the body, which is killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, but he also purifies as klesha, as delusion, tendencies to kind of explode into anger or to have imploding anger. So he works especially with anger. And then anger is transformed into the mirror-like wisdom. Because we see anger, with anger we see things very clearly. It's very sharp. But the energy is too strong and there's the wish to harm. But anger sees injustice. Anger sees when things are not right. But anger is too strong and distorts and only thinks about my happiness. That's why we want to transform it into the mirror-like wisdom of Vairocana. You can visualize that these negativities, like the imprints we created before, but together with the tendencies, leave the body through your lower doors in the form of dirty water, or anything that, again, take pictures that speak to you, anything you find yucky. How would you give your anger imprints? What kind of color, what kind of form would they have? And they leave your body, sink into the earth, never to be seen again. We don't need anger to protect us. But the energy that comes up when we see injustice, that's okay. Because we need to move if we can, or at least to see that, oh, there's nothing I can do, I better remain calm. The mirror-like wisdom, you see things as they are, without distortion. So the light keeps flowing and you visualize that your body becomes a blissful light body. So that means now with the white light slowly fills your body. As it fills your body, then all the solidity kind of gets also transformed into more, like atoms, neurons, quarks, all this. The body is not as solid as we think. If you look from a scientific point of view, it's very spacious, but it has a form. So your body becomes filled with this light. It's very spacious, but keeps its form. And you think this is just like a Buddha's body. Nothing gross, nothing concrete about it. And it will become indestructible, not needing any care. Just like it will be when you attain the deity's body, the Sambhogakaya, which in this case now is filled with this white light. So don't make it dull, make it very bright, very luminous, meaning it radiates out. Like a light bulb or like the sun. It's so beneficial for our subtle mind to work with bright light. And with colors. So then she sends red light from the at her throat chakra, which purifies all the problems of your speech. Inappropriate speech, useless speech, the inability to express yourself appropriately, and all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your speech of this life and in infinite past lives is totally purified, eradicated by the blissful red light. Not one atom is left. So the red light symbolizes Amitabha, his lotus family, works with attachment, and of course, negativities and tendencies for negativities of the speech, like lying, divisive speech, harsh words, and useless gossip, always having to say something at all costs. And especially sometimes talking about others who are not present in an unkind way. It also purifies our unpure aggregate of discrimination. Our discrimination can discriminate between this and that, but it's usually also mistaken. So it transforms it into the wisdom of discrimination. And if you want to visualize where the negativities come out, like when we fill water into a dirty bottle, the dirt swims on top and then comes out at the top. You think in whatever form you find appropriate comes out of your mouth, nose, ears. Again, just vanishing in the future. We really let go. Yesterday, David, the Jew, in this interreligious meeting, he was saying Yom Kippur. I know there's this chicken ritual, but this we leave aside. So he didn't mention that, but he mentioned you throw your sins into the water and the water just dissolves it. It's a bit like that. Really let go. We don't need to hold on to these tendencies. We don't need to judge ourselves, but we need to see that's not helpful. Neither for me nor for others. And then, because we take the result into the past, your body fills with this red light. And you think that you're totally filled with the perfect, compassionate wisdom, appropriate speech of Lamatara, such that whatever sound you utter is necessarily beneficial to any living being who hears it, all of which is your potential. And we imagine, how is that? Every sound that comes out of my mouth, especially the spoken words, only to benefit, only to bring harmony, well-being, trust, peace. And your body is filled with this very bright red light, luminous. Then Tara sends powerful beams of dark blue light from the blue home at her heart chakra, which enters your heart chakra. Imagine that all the unhappiness of your mind, your confusion, arrogance, anger, jealousy, pride, resentment, hurt, anxiety, self-hate, whatever, is all totally purified. And that all your delusions, including the root ego grasping, which are the cause of your own suffering and why you harm others, is totally eradicated by the powerful blue light, not one atom left. So this one is Akshobhya, Buddha family, transforms our impure aggregate of consciousness, of course, works with wrong views, ignorance. and exchanges that or transforms it into the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu, it's called, the wisdom of suchness, the ground for everything, which also doesn't exist from its own side. But this very fundamental, basic wisdom that we all have, part of our mind, but covered at the moment. But it fills with this bright blue light. And you feel that you are filled with the blissful, omniscient, compassionate mind of Lama Tara, which is your potential. Again, you know, we strengthen that belief in our nature as being pure, compassionate, wise, spacious, luminous. When you purify the mind, I forgot the visualization there. So you have like body, speech, mind. When you purify the mind, there's different ways. Either it's just when the, you know, when the light hits the heart chakra, then it's like the light being turned on in a dark room. So the darkness disappears because it doesn't exist from its own side, so it's not going anywhere. Or you can also think, you know, all our tendencies of grasping onto this really, truly existing I or me is like a concrete kind of egg around that, or ball around that Buddha nature that we have. And as the blue light hits it, you know, all this dark, concrete kind of form that is hiding our Buddha nature just shatters it into thousands of pieces. That's also a nice visualization. That the, you know, Tara's blue light coming from her heart is powerful enough to shatter our strong holding on to a self, me or I. And we feel free of the self-concern, which creates all the fears, because we don't realize the shared humanity that we have. We think we're alone. I'm the only one who suffers. Makes our suffering really big. If we compare it to the suffering of the world, boy, it's nothing. Doesn't mean we shouldn't take care of it. But we don't need to make this big fuss about ourselves. As Chechuma says, you know, we add a lot to the suffering, which is not necessary. Suffering is there whether we want or not. We don't need to add. Then you visualize Tara sends powerful laser beams of yellow light from the yellow swa at her navel chakra that penetrates your navel chakra, filling you completely. Navel chakra is 4 finger widths below the navel, more towards the back of your body, like along the spine. It purifies totally all your hopelessness, powerlessness, inability to act effectively, all the blocked energy. This is why I like the sadhana, because it adds these 2 chakras, which especially, I think especially now, is so important. That we activate these 2 chakras as well. So this is Ratnasambhava from the Buddha families, transforms our impure aggregate of feelings, you know, where we think really good, really bad, really nothing. We just see that they all they're of the same nature, they're dependent arising, they're impermanent, and if we don't recognize that, they're bound to suffering. So pleasant, unpleasant, actually on this level is totally the same. Depending on causes and conditions, not trustable, meaning they're changeable, and they're bound to suffering. Also, it works with miserliness and arrogance. Let go of these tendencies. And the imprints that would ripen, the same thing happening to us. And this then, miserliness and arrogance is transformed into the wisdom of equanimity. Everything is impermanent, subject to change, dependable, empty, but bound to suffering if we don't realize it. So you're filled with this bright yellow light, and you think now you have the ability to act effortlessly, to do what needs to be done with wisdom and compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then you visualize the Tara sends powerful beams of green light from the green heart at her secret chakra that penetrates your sexual chakra, filling you completely. Imagine that it totally purifies all your out of control, unhappy attachment energy, all the yearning, the desire for things that it doesn't make us happy, which makes us miserable, unclear, and unsatisfied. You think not one atom is left. So that's Amoga Siddhi. And our impure aggregate of compositional factors is transformed then into the wisdom, like the all-accomplishing wisdom, which then acts now. This is why it's green also. So with the support of the four other wisdoms, the wisdom of the Dharmadhatu, the mirror-like wisdom, the wisdom of equanimity, and the wisdom of discrimination. Discrimination, seeing that even though suffering is empty, it's still on a conventional level suffering. And then with the support of these four wisdoms, now is the all-accomplishing wisdom, now is the action. That's why it's green. So your body fills with this green light. You are completely filled with it, with transformed desire energy. So desire, we usually say desire is bad, but wanting something is not necessarily bad. We just need to want the right thing, meaning being free from negative emotions and having developed everything for full awakening. So we're filled with this transformed desire energy, complete bliss, satisfaction, contentment, fulfillment, happiness, and pleasure. And your body now is filled with this green light. So the next step, you visualize all 5 lights coming from Tara's 5 chakras simultaneously, penetrating your 5 chakras this time, feeling that even the subtle stains of all delusions are totally eradicated, not one atom left. Feel very blissful and stay in this blissful state, concentrating on being oneness with the energy of Mother Tara. So now you can, if you want, if you have initiation, if you feel comfortable with this, take on the body, like the features of Arya Tara. Not just the light body, which is filled with light, but also the way she sits. Imagine what she's wearing, and it becomes you. I am Tara now. Concentrating on being oneness with the energy of Mother Tara. Like 2 drops of water melting into each other. Let go of all the ifs and buts and why and what and blah. Just do it, as Khandrila says. Your subtle mind will understand. Your Buddha nature will understand. Don't be afraid. But then, because we still don't trust totally the Tara, which is still in space in front of us, she comes to sit above your crown, facing the same way as you. Then out of her wish to be oneness with your mind, remember that she's your guru. She dissolves into green light, melts into your crown and goes down your central channel, which is closer to the back of your body and runs just in front of your spine to your heart chakra, where she merges with your subtle consciousness, your clear light. And you think Tara's mind, the Guru's mind, my mind, totally the same thing. So now the next step also, like Tara dissolving into us, is done because we don't really trust. If you do trust, you don't need to do that. Then you can have Tara outside, you're as Tara, there can be many, many Taras. There's not just one Tara, but they're all of the same essence, just manifestations. So the next step also is to kind of, for 2 things, like what one does when you do mantra recitation, you always send light to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to bring offerings to them. And then the light comes back, meaning bringing their energy back. Why is that? Because we keep forgetting that we are constantly surrounded by numerous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So that's what we're doing. Think now I'm Tara. Tara has absorbed into me. I've become oneness with Tara. It's not a separate Tara in me. I have become oneness with Tara. I know it's difficult if you're not used to do these things, because our habits are very, very strong to believe that we are who we think we are. This is very important in deity practice, to have this confidence. Now I am Tara. Having the qualities of Tara, I have kind of liberated myself from all the obstacles of being Tara with the 5 lights. I have transformed samsara into nirvana, but I've transformed it into a non-abiding nirvana where I will act for the benefit of all sentient beings. So the energy from all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is coming back, reabsorbing into my heart where there's a moon disk, on top of it silver thumb, around it the mantra. And now we think of all the other reality. We're constantly surrounded by numerous, uncountable sentient beings. So now, as we recite the mantra, we think that this light is going out. So we visualize all sentient beings surrounding us. in front, above, below, to the sides, everywhere. Left, right, you know, in front of me, behind me, above me, below me. And as we recite the mantra, the light from my heart first fills my body, and then this light, this very strong green light, is going out through, as if it comes out through all our pores. Now I know if you have a light body, you don't have pores. But for me, this is quite a nice picture because many, because pores are very small. So this light is going out through these little holes, doesn't need holes, but it's okay. You know, or maybe, you know, again, the visualization is not working for you, but it comes out as if, you know, being pressed out and through our pores, and then it goes in all directions. So we don't need to worry so much, you know, where it goes, because like with the sun, the light just goes out in all directions. Just goes out in all directions, touching each and every sentient being and transforming them into Arya Tara. But of course, now you can really visualize the person that you most care about, and the light is going to that person, transforming her or him or a group of people into Arya Tara. But then please don't forget to send it to all sentient beings. So we recite the mantra, you know, chant it together a few times, but then we just recite it silently. Om tare tu re soha. 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 And during the mantra recitation, in order not to get too bored, you can be very creative. You visualize what the light is doing, what it is transforming, what it is bringing. You know, like you are Tara, and so you need to know what you're doing. So then also you don't become bored. Try not to get too much lost in thoughts about what will happen tomorrow, or, you know, lunchtime or whatever. And try to bring the mind back to the visualization as much as possible. And just be relaxed, but awake and happy. Happy that we can do something. Happy that we're creating our future Tara now, or even better, now I am Tara and I'm doing all these actions. You know? Om Tare Tare Tare. Om Tare Tare Tare. Om Tare. Taretu taretu re soha. Then you visualize that you're surrounded by innumerable Arya Taras. All sentient beings have transformed into Arya Tara. And so the light is coming back from them now. Again, you know, it's just to strengthen, to nourish our Buddha potential, because we don't really trust it. If you do trust it fully, completely, then there's no need to do this step. But it's good to see that we're not alone. Yeah, and we need people who guide us. We need people who are there for us, beings. So then we visualize the light is coming back, filling you with bliss and wisdom and all the sublime qualities, which is your potential. Taretu taretu re soha. Then if you want, if you feel comfortable and you do have a guru, then we recite this verse so that we make sure that, you know, we're never separated from this guru, this life, future lives, until we attain full awakening. Please, root guru, glorious and precious, remain upon a lotus at my heart, and looking after me through your great kindness, grant me siddhis of body, speech, and mind. But now, before we do the dissolution into emptiness, which is very important also, then we recite the praises to the 21 taras. So these 21 taras, they are just manifestations. Again, you know, they do different things. So you can read commentaries, or unfortunately here we don't have the time to go into each one, but maybe in another session, I don't know, maybe tomorrow we can look at them. I can tell you what each one is good for and what they're doing. So they're just like, we have different aspects, different capacities. So it's the Tara, so they have different colors also. So it's quite good when you do Tara practice or the 21 praises to really learn here, you know, how do they look, what color, what they're good for. And then you can also practice them individually if you want, if there's a specific problem, because also they're not here, but they have specific mantras, each one. So in German, I have a very nice 21 Tara Sadhana that we do a retreat every year. And again, you know, it's very, very powerful. And you get a really good connection with Arya Tara, all the activities that she's doing. Now we're just chanting it happily. Om homage to the Venerable Arya Tara, homage Taras with heroic eyes like lightning instantaneous, from open stamens of the Lord of Tree Worlds, dear-born lotus, homage he whose face combines 100 the moon at fullest, blazing with bright, priceless splendor, has 1,000-star collection, homage golden blue on lotus, water born in and adorned, giving effort calm austerities, patience, meditation, her sphere, homage crown of Tathagatas, actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors' children, having reached every perfection, homage filling with tutare, whom desire direction and space, trampling with her feet the 7 worlds, able to draw forth all beings, homage worship by the all, Chakrani Brahma Marut, honored by the host of spirits. Now I lost her. Here, course Vedas, Kanvaras, Yakshas, homage with her tray and pesa, destroying foes' magic diagrams, her feet pressing left out right in, blazing in a raging fire blaze, homage to the very dreadful, destroyer of Mara's champion, she with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies, homage at the heart her finger, adorn her with ritual mudra, light raised masses all excited, all directions wills adorn her, homage she so joyous radiant, crown emitting garlands of light, mirthful laughing with tutare, subjugating Mara's devas, homage she able to Guardians assembly, shaking, frowning with her home sign, savoring from every misfortune, homage crown adorned with crescent, moon all ornaments most shining, Amitabha in her hair and note, sending out much light eternal, homage she made with a blaze like Ian, ending fire abiding, right at left paint joys around you, troops of enemies destroying, homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scowling with the letter Hunda, 7 levels she does conquer, I'm homage happy, virtuous, peaceful, she who's filled is peace nirvana, she endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil, homage she with joy surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder, freeze with tongue and knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters, homage to the with its seed letter of the shape of syllable, whom by foot stamping shakes the 3 worlds, Meru, Mandra and Vindhya, homage holding in her hand the earmarked moon of Deva lake form, with twice spoken Tara and Pe, totally dispelling poison, homage she whom gods and their kings and the kinnaras to honor, armored in a joyful splendor, she dispels by dreams and conflict, homage she whose 2 eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with twice spoken Nara and Tutara, she dispels severe contagion, homage full of liberating, Baba set of the 3 nature, destroys host of spirits yakshas, and raise corpses supreme ture, these praisers with the root mantras, and prostrations thus are 21. Okay, so I know it's not in this sadhana, so maybe next time we can take a Tibetan text and we can chant them in Tibetan, because it makes quite a bit difference in energy level when we chant them in Tibetan. Okay, now is the dissolution. So again, you make yourself sitting comfortable so you can just listen and visualize, because we're trying to get a taste
עד שאנילה תחזור, בגלל קשר אינטרנטי, נמשיך עם ה-dissolving. Now you dissolve everything into what they call space-like emptiness. As Lama Yeshe says, this is not the actual meaning of emptiness, but in Tantra it is a very powerful way of getting to emptiness. First, you imagine that the entire universe dissolves into empty space. Your place, the planet, the galaxies, this universe and all the beings in it, which we cling to as so real, as exciting from its own side, just dissolves into vast empty space, not one atom left. Zero, as Lama says.
I'm back. I swear I didn't do this on purpose, okay? But it couldn't have been planned in a better way. When I just said, it's like, you know, nothing remains, blah, blah, and we get a taste of non-existent whatever. I'm sure that Tara, again, she had her fingers in this, because I was convinced. I looked, I plugged into the computer, and it was plugged in when I started, but then now it wasn't plugged in. I don't know what happened. So maybe it's for me to say it will not happen like this, the realization of emptiness, okay? It's not from being full of I and me and this and that, boom, then it goes like, you know, it goes blank and the I is gone. It will happen gradually. And for that, you need especially the teachings of Geshe Dorje Damdru and Geshe Dorje Damdru and Geshe-ma, which you have like very regularly, which again, you know, we're very fortunate. So anyway, I didn't do this on purpose, but it was very befitting. So like this. Tara again, she's definitely there and has her fingers here, what, you know, is influencing things. Okay, so we dissolve the body. So again, make yourself comfortable. And first we think we dissolve the environment. So first you imagine that the entire universe dissolves into empty space. Again, you know, don't worry so much. I don't know how to do this. What shall I do? Just think, you know, even if the thoughts are still there, but because we don't see it, we don't hear it, we think it's, you know, it's just the projection kind of dissolves. The projection of a really existing, you know, in a very bad state being universe is dissolving. Same way as maybe on the screen, you know, when you had my image and poof, and then it went. You can do this gradually. Actually, a very powerful way is it dissolves into you, you know, as if you're just sucking it in. It's the way to do in highest yoga tantric practice, but we can already kind of train a little bit like that. It really works with the subtle mind, has nothing to do with the intellect. And all that's left is the body and the mind of me here, because the universe has dissolved into me. This universe and all beings in it, which we cling to as so real, as existing from its own side, just dissolves into vast empty space. Not one atom left. Maybe you already have done it with Leora before, but it doesn't matter because it's so solid. Our view of this being so true. Gosh, it's so thick. This is why emptiness will happen gradually. This is why we have to do these exercises again and again and again. Knowing what we are dissolving. We're not dissolving existence. We're just dissolving inherent existence. Then you dissolve the body. The basis of this I, the thing we know most, identify with most. You imagine that from your feet up towards your heart chakra and from your crown down towards your heart chakra, it just dissolves. You feel that everything absorbs into your heart chakra. If you try to do this, this will be very helpful at the time of death because these energies go into the heart chakra. And when we start, you know, not being connected to these other parts anymore, it's so frightening But if you get used to it and you know and say, now I will go into the clear light spontaneously and naturally at the time of death, you can use that natural clear light to understand emptiness at the time of death. This is why we do these practices. So I think the body slowly, even if you feel it, but you think, hey, wow, God, it's just a feeling. If you open your eyes, you see your feet, you go, what do I see? Do I see my feet? No, I see my socks. And then if I take off the socks, do I see my feet? No, I see the skin of my feet. Then I take off the skin. Do I see my feet? No, I see the flesh and the tendons, maybe, or the blood of my feet. Then we take away the flesh, the tendons, the blood. What do I see? Do I see my feet? No, we wouldn't call these feet. We see the bones of the feet. Then we take away the bones. What's left? No really existing feet, existing separate from its parts. But we can put the label feet on all these parts, and then we have feet that function, hopefully very well. So now we're not building up feet here, we're kind of unbuilding them. Even if you look at it and you ask yourself the question, I would say, I see my feet, but do I really see my feet? There we go. Feet is just appearance. There's no real existing feet separate from its part, separate from my mind, to be found anywhere. I can do that with your whole body. Now something maybe even easier, or not even, maybe something easier, because when we dissolve our thoughts, there we see they're totally depending on the mind for existing. But even those we take as really existent sometimes, and we definitely believe almost everything they say. Such rubbish goes to our head most of the time. Fears about the future who has not yet come, regrets about the past who has finished, we can't do anything anyway. And then we miss the present. And happiness is only in the present. Well-being is only in the present. If we think about the future, we worry. If we think about the past, we get depressed. So you dissolve your thoughts, these elaborate conceptual constructions, all the thoughts of I, me, which have no basis in reality, which are completely made up. A hallucination, as Lama Zopa says, all of it dissolves into empty space, not one atom left, zero. So you can use this image of spacious, no hindrance, luminous, free, open. And you think all that is left is my Lama Tara's consciousness, very subtle, pure, as vast as space. No obstruction, nowhere. And we think I am the Dharmakaya. This is who I am. And this I not separate from the Dharmakaya. The I just the label. Feel that this is your nature. When we get into that nature, there is so much bliss there, which is our birthright. But we're so separated from this most of the time because of our thoughts. So try to stay there as long as possible. Not wondering, what is it? How is it? Oh, just, you can use the visualization of spacious, open, luminous, no obstruction, free and peaceful and all-knowing. and feel well in that space, because it is just going, this is who am I? I am. So that's my nature. Blissful, open, peaceful, spacious, luminous. Whatever arises, just projections. Let them come like clouds in the sky. The clearness, the openness of the sky is always there, whether they're clouds or not, because the clouds are not oneness, but this clear, open, luminous, unlimited space of the sky. Okay, but now we come out of this being in this what is called clear light, because we want to benefit others. So it's the compassion that kind of gets us out of that state. And you manifest again in your body and imagine that your mind is oneness with Mother Tara's mind. So try to take this kind of awareness with you, whether this is just the only session you do today or whether you're going to do the other 2 sessions as well that will follow. Just, whenever you feel something is getting tight in the heart, you go, oh, but I'm Tara, and you open up again as long as you can, as much as you can. Then we make strong prayers that with this body and speech, we will benefit whichever sentient beings we come into contact with, humans, animals, whatever. That the purpose of my body and speech is to benefit others. And then the dedications. Through the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha, lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the precious body-mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. We need to say this verse because we don't really know how to dedicate with an awareness of emptiness, but Manjushri and Samantabhadra do know. So then we say, oh, I just dedicate like them, then it becomes perfect. It's so skillful, this whole thing. Then I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best this we can do, because we do it with Bodhichitta and with an awareness of emptiness by the victorious ones just gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Prayers for His Holiness Dalai Lama in the land encircled by snow mountains. You are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful, generous Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. This we can chant next time. Then this we do to this evening, the longer dedication and the multiplying mantras also. Okay. Well, we finished pretty much in time. Thank you very much. So again, if you do have questions, then write them down and you can ask this afternoon after the 3rd time we recite the sadhana, unless there's something really pressing now. Michal says no, the others, I don't know. So then we have half an hour break for those who want to continue. For those who are, just wanting to do one session, wanted to get a taste of it, whatever, that's fine. Then enjoy the rest of your day. And the others, maybe I see you again. I say, I see you again. I'm convinced I'll be in the next session. I mean, how do I know? I can die in the meantime. Or, something technical again, or who knows. But it's again, this very strong, but totally wrong conviction. I'll be here in the next session. Michal also probably has this conviction. See, this is a good thing. When you have to do it, there's no choice. So you have the freedom of no choice, which is a lot of freedom. I'm not going out in the break now, going up. Shall I do the next session? Shall I not do the next session? Yeah, I can spend the half hour totally relaxed, knowing that I will do the next session. But for you, you make your own choice. Do whatever makes you happy. But anyway, thank you very much for having joined this session. And enjoy your break.